Now, our next guest is one of the newest leaders to join the Notre Dame family. Her distinguished academic career includes time at Duke University, the University of Michigan, and most recently at Rice, where she served as the university's Howard R. Hughes Provost from 2015 to 2019. And even though she is new here on campus, her Notre Dame roots run deep. Her father, Constancio, earned his master's degree in civil engineering from the university in 1962. And it was that fellowship that was instrumental in her family's immigration to the United States. And it was the positive experience at Notre Dame and in the South Bend community that was part of the reason why they decided to stay. Please join us in welcoming Lynn Miranda, the Charles and Jill Fischer Provost, for a conversation with Dolly.
Hey, everyone.
Lynn, so happy to have you at Notre Dame. But
I'm so happy to be here.
Family don't yet know you and don't know very much about you. Can you tell them a little bit about yourself?
Sure, absolutely. I'm glad to be here with you, and I'm really looking forward to the day when circumstances allow me to be in person with more members of the Notre Dame family. That's been one of the hardest things for me. So a little bit more about me. How about if I say I have 6 roles? Wife, mother, daughter, sister, faculty member, provost. So start with the first, wife. I've been married for 30 years to the love of my life and my best friend, Chris Guerin. Mother, I have 3 children, a son and 2 daughters, and my middle one just got engaged, so soon I'll gain another son. Daughter, my dad, who Leanne talked about, has passed, but my mom is alive and let's just say feisty. And I'm hoping to convince her to move to South Bend to go full circle. Sister, I'm the youngest of 4. I have 3 older brothers, and people who think that 3 older brothers and being the only girl means that I was spoiled when I was growing up do not know my brothers. Faculty member. I love the life of the mind, the opportunity to train the next generation and advance the knowledge frontier, which are at the core of what faculty do, to me is just the very best way to spend one's life. My research focuses on how to foster environments where all children can prosper. I continue that research, and I just love the ability to try to make a difference in the world. And last, the Charles and Jill Fischer Provost. I'm going to tell you it's the best job at the university. Don't let Father John tell you that being president is better, because it's not. Being provost is the best job. You're the chief academic officer, which means that all of the research and educational programs all over the university all report up through the provost's office. And that gives me an excuse. It's technically a responsibility, but it feels more like an excuse for someone who's really curious to go and learn about every nook and cranny all over the campus, all of the different programs, etc. Hear about what people's hopes and aspirations are, connect ideas that you're hearing about in different places, and then work as hard as you can to create ways to let loose people's creativity and advance all of those wonderful ideas that you see in the Notre Dame community.
Oh, Lynn, I beg to differ. Being the executive director of the Notre Dame Alumni Association is absolutely the best job at Notre Dame.
We can battle about it.
It's good we both love what we do. Your career has included more than 2 decades at your alma mater, Duke, as well as time at the University of Michigan and Rice University. 3 outstanding institutions in their own right. So I'm really curious, what was it that drew you to Notre Dame?
Yeah, so as Leanne mentioned in her very kind introduction, we have a long-standing family connection. My father got his master's here. We were able to immigrate to the United States because of a fellowship that the university provided to my family. And we have a fondness for South Bend as well because of how well received my family was at the time. But more recently, and what might want me to come here as a provost, I have an enormous respect and fascination and love for this commitment to the formation of students' mind, body, and spirit, this holistic formation. And I've actually been talking about that holistic formation, not just about our undergraduate students, but about our graduate students and our faculty members as well, because we're all trying, and our staff, because we're all trying to discern our path every day. We're all trying to become bigger and stronger and better. And we're all trying to form ourselves and reform ourselves. And that emphasis on discerning a path and holistic formation, which is uniquely Notre Dame, is just so very attractive to me. I also like the fact that there's headroom at the university. It's not a place that wants to sit on its laurels and say everything's fine. Let's just stay how we are. It has lots of aspirations, and it has room for people all across, from alums to faculty to staff to students at both the undergraduate and graduate level, to articulate what those ideas for growth and big changes and exciting ideas at the university. I will admit that I was very much looking forward to, and it's turned out to be what I thought it would be, the opportunity to work with Father John. I find him to be an inspiring leader. He's sort of the ultimate introvert leader. He's thoughtful and really brings out the best in people around him. I quite appreciate that. And I should probably mention that I love snow. I love snow more than probably most people that you've met. And my husband and I bought a farm, so we're farmers now. So we read the Farmer's Almanac, and the Farmer's Almanac says that it's going to be a big snow year this year. So I'm super excited about that.
Well, that's great. I have to tell you, I'm not a huge fan of snow, so I'm not looking forward to a big snowfall. But I always look forward to the fall and winter at Notre Dame. So this academic year has been a challenge in so many ways. But in the effort to limit positive cases and keep everyone physically healthy, one area that might have gone unnoticed for a while is the area of mental well-being. Mm-hmm. Can you give us an update on how the students are handling stress? And I'd love to hear more about some of the resources that are being offered to them, especially as reading days and finals approach in just a few short weeks.
Yeah. You know, we all knew that this would be a challenging semester, and we have been paying attention to mental health from the very beginning. So it's a challenging semester for everyone, for our faculty, for our staff, especially for our students at both the undergraduate and the graduate level, and with no breaks. And with our high achieving students, they tend to carry very demanding course loads. So our students are generally accustomed to powering through, right? That's what we do at Notre Dame. We power through challenges with late nights and hard work and just digging in. But this semester is different, and so are the pressures. So many students are feeling and reporting the strain of these pressures, and we are trying to respond as best we can. As you would expect, we've increased the number of resources that are available through our counseling center. We've also established a working group to pay close attention and make recommendations, which we then on the operations side start implementing to provide stress relief to students as we figure out more ways that would be helpful. And we're soliciting the students' ideas about this as well. And we've also asked faculty members to consider creative ways that they can reduce student academic stress this semester. Maybe allow students to drop a test or drop an assignment, give an open book exam. You can imagine all kinds of creative ways. Just generally understand and acknowledge to students that this semester is different from others. What I oftentimes say to both my children and my students is sometimes things seem hard because they actually are hard. And this is a hard semester. We're trying to incorporate a lot of new practices, including a few days off throughout the semester and the spring semester. And I just want to assure you and any parents who are out there, any alums, that please be assured that we are very focused on this issue.
Thanks so much for that. I'm curious, what about the winter session? I'm probably also curious because with the fall ending on November 20th and spring not this coming till February 3rd when they come back, it's a much longer break than usual. And what can you tell us about the opportunities the university will be offering for the students over that 10-week break? Because I have a sophomore and I got to figure out what is he going to do for 10 weeks.
Yeah. I remember my two older have graduated college already, and I remember when they would come home on longer breaks, thinking, I hope they're well occupied. So we are trying to arrange a whole series of virtual internships virtual community engagement projects, career discernment activities to help students figure out what do they want to do with their lives. We're going to have a limited number of courses available for students to take in January. These are meant to be like 1 or 2 credit. We will have a few 3-credit courses, but mostly these 1 or 2 credit, explore something completely different and low stakes, because the last thing we want is for people to do a very intensive January term and then go straight into 4 days later a 14-week semester, especially given what we've seen. So lots of opportunities to explore all kinds of creative ideas, whether it's through internships, research engagements. We're going to do immersive research experiences for students. We're asking faculty to volunteer to take on students. I'm going to take a few on in my own research lab. I'm looking forward to that. And we're doing a lot of planning, but we're doing that planning talking to students, and we've surveyed students so that we really understand the kinds of things that would be appealing to them, that would be refreshing to them and rejuvenating to them before they start the spring term.
Thanks, Marilyn. Let's move ahead now to some of the questions from our alumni and friends. The first one focuses, of course, on COVID-19's long-term impact on learning.
Hi there, Brent Kelly, member of the class of 2011 and also a member of the Notre Dame fencing family, 2011 national champions, go Irish. And my question is, the digital networking of the world has made geospatial boundaries less of an obstacle to learning. COVID-19 has in some ways served as a warning shot to traditional models of educational instruction, that the times are changing at a relentless and sometimes ruthless pace. So what are your thoughts on the growing trend of distance learning and virtual classrooms? And what are the implications for Notre Dame?
Cool. How many questions? Ask them how many.
Our experience at Notre Dame, where we are offering 85% of our classes in person this semester, especially in comparison to the many universities that are offering 85, 90% of their classes online, all of those experiences have reinforced for us the power of in-person education with a focus on the holistic development of young men and women. As a research university, having our faculty and graduate students and postdoctoral associates and undergraduate research assistants together in community leads to, these kind of unexpected ideas and what I refer to as intellectually riffing. You're talking about ideas and thinking about how to solve a problem, and all of a sudden something new comes out of that. So we think that's very valuable as well. At the same time, we need to embrace educational technology. We need to embrace some of these changes that we know are going on. But we should be thinking about it within the context of where that type of technology allows us to deliver education more effectively. So, for example, if I want to give more students an opportunity to study abroad who might not otherwise go and get a global experience because of a key required course or 2 that they have during their junior year, then if I offer a couple of those critical classes remotely, then they can still have their study abroad experience and stay on track to graduate. Similarly, we have more students who are interested in these extended internships. If it's possible for them to do an extended internship and still take a class or 2 at Notre Dame, or still kind of keep pace with all of the things that are required for their majors, that might be attractive as well. I'm also really excited about some ideas that we're exploring about deeper and more sustained connections to the alumni community. I want every single alum, when they think about, I'm thinking about a job change or I need to learn something new about this, I want the first thought that goes through their mind to be, let me check out what Notre Dame is offering. Maybe Notre Dame can help me with this next stage in my life. There are many places taking place in higher education. We're experimenting with lots of different approaches, and we're staying in close communication with other universities and looking at what their experiments are, so that we can learn as much as possible about where remote learning works most effectively.
Thanks for that. The next question focuses on service, something we know is near and dear to the hearts of Notre Dame students and a big part of our mission.
Hello, my name is Charlie Gardner. I am class of 2010 with a BA and a MA in 2012. I live in Winston-Salem, North Carolina, and my question tonight is, how has COVID-19 impacted students' ability to participate in local service activities, in particular through the Center for Social Concerns? Thank you.
Charlie, I wish I had a different answer for you. This has really been heartbreaking for a lot of people here, including myself. Community engagement has been a big part of the way that I've spent time at a university, at all the universities that I've been at. So the short answer to your question, Charlie, is that it has had a tremendous negative impact on our ability to conduct local service activities. We are implementing a number of programs virtually, particularly tutoring. We have vastly expanded tutoring to kids all over the South Bend area with all of the online education that's going on in our K-12 schools. We're finding that parents need more help and support, so we've really ramped up our tutoring through a program that is overseen by the Institute for Educational Initiatives. But for both our students and the communities they serve, it's just not the same having all of this virtually. We had hoped to resume some in-person programs in the spring semester, but given what cases are looking like both in our region and more broadly, it remains unclear when that will be possible. I wish I could give you a different answer. I truly do.
Let's hope soon. So following up on Father John's comments earlier, this last question for you, Mari-Lynn, focuses on social justice and equality.
Hi, my name is Ashley Wright. I'm from Albuquerque, New Mexico, and I was class of 2009. My question is, what does the university feel its role and responsibility is in educating students regarding systemic and institutional racism in this country? In light of current conversations about racism, is the university considering developing a required course for undergraduates regarding systemic and institutionalized racism?
So thank you for that question, Ashley. I'm going to start by saying that while this question, so my own research, my entire career has been focused on health disparities. So I'll start by saying that while this question is rooted in interests that I share with you, Ashley, regarding people of color in the United States and internationally, my reaction as provost is deeply rooted in the pastoral letter issued in 2018 by the U.S. Conference of Catholic Bishops. So this pastoral letter is called Open Wide Our Hearts. And I just want to quote something from it, which is, the pastoral letter acknowledges the existence of systemic racism and states, here I quote, "Love compels each of us to resist racism courageously. It requires us to reach out generously to the victims of this evil, to assist the conversion needed in those who still harbor racism, and to begin to change policies and structures that allow racism to persist." So the U.S. Conference of Catholic Bishops has called on all Catholics, has called on the world to think more deeply about systemic racism. And if they're calling on all Catholics, there's a special call to those of us who work at Catholic universities, right? So the core curriculum committee actually has a proposal in front of it right now to make the study of systemic racism a core requirement. It was very well received by the core curriculum committee. They are now in the process of engaging in conversations with stakeholders all over campus. I'm learning a lot about how one does anything so audacious as suggest some type of change in the core curriculum. So there's lots of processes and consultations. We don't want to, with something like this, we want to make sure that it is embraced by the full community. But we don't want to let the idea languish. This is not something that we're going to take, 5 years to study it. We're working vigorously to have these consultations and to think through this. In addition, many of our instructors and programs and courses are actively engaging students on these issues. I'm certainly in a whole series of conversations with students in a more informal way around these issues. And we're also working to establish a Center for the Study of Race and Ethnicity at the university within the College of Arts and Letters. So lots of good work going around on these topics. Father John mentioned some other work as well.
Thanks, Mari-Lynn. We really appreciate your time, and we are incredibly grateful that you chose Notre Dame.
Oh, I'm blessed to be here. Thank you.